Suddenly, though, my mom pushed her way through the crowd to me, bringing along someone I didn't know.
Honey, I'd like to introduce you to someone. This kind gentleman is the son of the vice chairman.
With my mother stood a man who almost looked a couple years older than me. He smiled and held out his hand to me, silently asking for my hand.
Hi, I'm Andrew Lewis. It's a pleasure to meet you, Miss Anderson.
Let me all introduce you to 16-year-old Zach Aguilar. Yeah, so Zach Aguilar, the guy who's doing all this really cool anime, who's now in the Cyberpunk show. This is him when he was 16 years old, and I had to get his mother to sign an agreement that he could be part of the program. Because this game had sexual content in it, I legally, and I knew this beforehand. When I signed him on. I wrote up a contract that his mother had to sign in order for him to be part of the project. So yeah, baby boys, interesting. Not necessarily first voice acting thing, but yeah. The character is not 16. The actor is. The actor is 16. Andrew Lewis is very much 20, like around 20 years old. So we're gonna be nice. Hi. As I placed my hands in his, he raised it to his lips, kissed over my knuckles. I felt my face slightly burn at the gesture. Andrew smiled at me before releasing my hand.
I'm honored to be invited here.
Yeah, and now Zach Aguilar voices Tanjiro in Demon Slayer. My mother smiled at both of us, which made me slightly concerned. Why was she excited to introduce me to Andrew?
So, you organized this party very well, Miss Anderson.
Thank you.
You're welcome. Praise is very much deserved.
It's funny, he sounds older than Jonah.
Well, I asked Jonah to actually have a little more youthful tone with Damien, and then he evolves and Seduce me too. Andrew then chuckled nervously, bringing a soft fist to his lips to cover his laugh properly before smiling at me.
I'm sorry if I seem a little forward. I've just been excited to meet Harold Anderson's granddaughter.
And yes, Zach voices one of the travelers in Genshin Impact. Huh? Why?
He used to talk about you all the time in the office on how you helped him refine his toys. I only attended meetings and heard all of the stories. You've helped a lot with the success of the company without having to actually work there.
Man, maybe I should have acted my wage. Oh wow, I didn't know he talked about me. That would explain everyone's fascination with me and their rather personal questions. I looked at Andrew, who had a kind face to me. Something about him seemed off, and I didn't know what it was. He seemed to be hiding something. Whether it was good or bad, I was not able to find out. I felt someone walk up beside me, causing me to turn to them. Next to me was my dad, giving his cold stare to Andrew, who suddenly became tense.
So, you're Jared's son.
Andrew's body twitched slightly, whether it was fear or insult. Andrew locked eyes with my father. I couldn't help but feel the tension between them. It irked me at how fragile the air had become, enough to break with the wrong word.
You're the one who wants to be the next CEO of the Anderson Company.
Here we go.
Well...
I stared at Andrew. This guy wanted to take my grandfather's place as CEO? I thought the vice chairman wanted the position.
David, leave the poor boy alone.
I'm merely testing the boy's conversational skills. Nothing wrong with that.
Of course not, sir.
And polite as well. Interesting.
If you'll excuse me.
Quickly, Andrew retreated away from my family into a crowd of people. Andrew! I quickly followed Andrew, wanting to be sure he was alright. Plus, I fucking said middle finger to Dad. I felt a little embarrassed that my dad put him on the spot like that. I had to apologize. We wound up outside. The stars practically danced on the grass as we stood in the backyard of the mansion. It had been my first time in years being out there, but my thoughts weren't on nostalgia. Hey, Andrew? Andrew turned to me in surprise. However, his face was completely red, both in embarrassment and humiliation. Terrible.
Oh, I didn't see you or hear you following. Sorry.
No, it's fine. I should be the one to apologize.
What for? You didn't do anything wrong.
I mean for the way my dad behaved. He shouldn't have been so...
Dickish.
Oh no, it's fine. I mean, I should have expected it and been more prepared.
Andrew rubbed the back of his neck and gave a goofy grin. It was intriguing seeing Andrew's professional side and then seeing a goofy smile away from everyone. Still, I'm sorry for that.
It's not a problem really, but thank you.
We both smiled at each other before I reached my hand out to him. He tilted his head and raised an eyebrow in confusion. Mika. My name is Mika.
My name is not Mike.
Mike. In In understanding, his smile returned before he took my hand gently and shook it.
That's a pretty name. I'm happy to know it now.
No, it's not that nice.
I have to disagree with you. It's much better than Andrew. I mean, who names their kid Andrew?
Brian's biting my shoulder.
No, I'm not.
A lot of people do.
But how about Axel or Ace? Something cool like that.
I couldn't help but laugh at him. He was pretty chill for a guy who was supposed to be the vice president's son. He grinned and laughed along with me. I don't know why, but I felt warm. Whether it was the almost non-existent breeze or the situation we found ourselves in, it felt nice.
Lewis!
And just like that, the feeling had vanished. We both turned to see my dad at the doors of the mansion, staring at Andrew with an almost deadly glare. Andrew straightened up, trying to maintain a business posture.
Yes, sir?
Your limo is in the front. The driver has requested that you return home. Now.
Oh, all right. Thank you, sir.
Andrew quickly nodded to me before speeding back into the mansion to leave. I took a step to follow, my dad stepped in front of me. Dad?
I don't want to hear it. Do not become friendly with him. He wants to take the company away from us. You have no reason to be friends with him.
Before I could retort, my dad turned away and walked back inside, muttering about how the party was nearing an end. I sighed and entered the house as well, wanting for the party to end immediately. Eventually, only Suzu, Naomi, my parents, and the incubi were left. My dad suddenly walked up and placed a hand on my shoulder with a smile. I stared up at him, a wave of confusion washing over my face. What?
You did good tonight. I'm proud.
Oh, thank you, Dad.
Keep it up and you'll be a good CEO.
Oh, right.
All right. Your mother and I have to leave. I'm sure Naomi and Suzu need to leave as well. Just because it's Saturday doesn't mean you should stay up all night.
Oh, right.
Fuck you, I
Thanks
can't.
for having us. It was a great party.
We'll come visit tomorrow or something. All right?
Right. See ya.
Good night, sweetie. Come visit us soon.
Will do. All four of my remaining guests left the building, all but my dad waving back to me. With the last of the guests gone, I sighed and sat on the staircase. Exhausted. Phew. That was tiring.
It's not like you had to do any work, though.
Give her a break, man. She was getting interrogated left and right.
She handled herself the best she could.
As expected, princess.
Since you're exhausted, why not head to bed? We can clean up.
Ugh.
Hush, Sam.
Are you guys sure?
Positive. It shouldn't take long.
Ho ho ho! It didn't take long to find you little shits after all.
I felt a hot shudder run down my spine. The voice of my dreams echoed through the air into my ears. I looked around, panicked alongside the incubi. James placed a hand on my shoulder, trying to remain calm.
Don't worry. No one will hurt you.
Are you sure? Are you really sure?
All of us shot our heads towards the doors, finally pinning down the direction of the voice. The doors quickly swung open, revealing a sight I would have never expected to see.
Up, fucker.
Skin as red as blood, eyes black and gold piercing into mine, roughened up clothes and a pistol in his hand. I saw a monster. Covered my mouth, not scream at the sight. The dried blood covered the bandana around his neck as he smirked at me and the boys around me.
Okay, Bardock.
Lamau? Beside the red-skinned man was a similar-looking woman in matching thug-like clothes.
Oh, what's the matter, boys? You really didn't think I wouldn't find you, did you?
I hoped you would, you piece of...
All of a sudden, the man raised a gun at Sam's face and instantly pulled the trigger. We all gasped and shocked, instinctively expecting to see a bullet run through Sam's face. But...
What the fuck?
What?
What should have been a headshot ended with a loud but empty blank shot. The pistol echoed its empty shots as the man grew more and more pissed, pulling the trigger over and over in aggravation. Luckily for my ears, it became quieter after the first shot.
Why the fuck won't you work?
This place is protected.
What did you say, Shrimp?
This place has a seal, protecting it from hellborn magic.
What the fuck is that supposed to mean? Ah!
The man growled and threw his gun at Sam, who was able to dodge it in time. The pistol bounced off the ground a couple of times before sliding further away, hitting the wall in a final stop. As it stopped moving, the gun faded into a black flame that disappeared into the air.
The previous owner had this place protected by magic, Malix.
Malix. That was his name. His existence resonated in my memory from the dream I had. However, I looked at Matthew with the same confusion as Malix did. Very dumb question. Are Malix and Eris a couple? Yes. Ish, in a way. This place is protected by magic?
It would seem that your grandfather had some sort of protective barrier around this house. From the looks of it, it only disables Hellborn magic.
Malix's face grew to that of extreme anger, his fist tightening as if he was crushing a stress ball.
Then what's stopping me from dragging your asses out and shooting you then?
Out of pure instinct, I stepped forward and placed myself between Malix and the boys. With no power, Malix wasn't going to fight. I took that chance to stand up to him, instead of being powerless like I was in the dream. Get out of my house. Malix growled at me, walking right up to me and leaning close to my face. I glared back, feeling my courage skyrocket.
Since when does a little stain like you give orders to a guy who can rip your pretty little head from your body?
You really don't think, do you? If you kill me, you'd be hunted down by more than just the police.
You little...
Duck! I ducked underneath Malix's incoming hand. I stared at his hand and his black flame tattoo in surprise as I took a couple steps back from Malix.
Quack.
Quack! Matthew and Damien stepped in front of me, guarding me from Malix with their arms.
A quick one. I'm liking you more and more.
Back off, Malix!
Don't start acting tough, you pathetic excuse of a demon. You need more protection than her.
Shut up!
Oh, did I make the little Matthew cry? Why don't you just grow a pair?
Enough, Malix.
The woman, who had been standing in silence the whole time, planted a firm hand on Malix's shoulder. Malix looked back at her with a growl and a glare that could kill.
Since when did you get the guts to speak out of place?
We both know you've never controlled me. I want them dead just like you do. But now's not the time.
Fuck off! I know what I'm doing.
Do you? Even if you did fight them, there's 5 against 2. We never win.
Shut up!
Let's go, Malix! We're wasting our time!
The two growled at each other. If they could have used their energy, I could sense that fire would glow from under their teeth. Malix grunted and glared at the boys. He pointed at James, wanting so badly to use his fingers like a knife.
Just wait, pretty boys. We'll get you and fuck you up real good.
I love James. James Brown Jr. He is so good. Then Malix turned to me, moving his finger to point directly between my eyes.
And don't think you're safe. Step outside. I dare you.
Eris is a backer character. I have no right to use her beyond Seduce Me 1. Eris is a backer character. Like, a backer helped me design her and have her in the story. So, after what happens to Malix in this game, she takes over the little gang that was chasing them through the forest. With that, Malix and the woman walked out of the mansion. The doors closed behind them, leaving the boys and I alone once again. Do devils not have horns like demons? They can. Some of them choose to rip it off, some of them just choose to redesign themselves. I felt my knees give out from under me, forcing the boys to quickly turn and catch me.
Whoa! Are you alright?
Would you remake the game if your fans collected $100,000, or would you start a GoFundMe instead of an angel investor? I'm not ever going to do a crowdfunding for a game ever again, because my experiences with crowdfunding have now become very jaded. So many people have actually come to me, like, scam-wise. They've tried to scam codes out of me, they've tried to scam all of this shit from me, and it's like, I know what I've given out, and I know what I haven't given out, and so it was just so frustrating to deal with the flood of people trying to get a crack at the game, that is just kind of like, I'm not using GoFundMe ever again, or any sort of funding like that. But if fans somehow were managed to collect $100,000 and throw it my way, then yes, I'll say publicly right now, if someone organized and gathered $100,000 to shove into my pocket so that way I can go spend it on voice acting, the art remakes, and the editors, yes, I would happily remake this game. Happily. Like, I would stop any plans of my books, any plans of future games just to remake this game, if that happened. But yeah. Yeah. Why was he here?
He's been closely tracking us. Our blood trail from the forest must have led him here.
We should have stopped him and finished it here.
For once, Matthew, I agree with you.
I stood up and rubbed my arms, feeling the goosebumps Malix left behind on me. I couldn't stop myself from shivering in fear of his words. Malix, was he a demon?
That son of a bitch is not a demon. He's a devil.
A devil? There's a difference?
Yes. Demons come from a different plane of existence called the Abyssal Planes. Devils, however, come from one of the 7 circles of a place humans know as hell. Despite us not being human, we are very different creatures.
We actually have brains, for one. Devils always like to cause trouble and try to kill or torture others for their own enjoyment. Demons, like us, know when to use our powers and when not to. We're not stupid.
Devils follow orders from higher-ups in their order, and their power only comes from their connection to hell. Demons all have free wills and don't rely on where they came from to use their powers.
This was also confusing. Demons and devils and magic all existed, and I happened to land in the middle of it. What do we do?
You're safe. You've been protected as well.
What?
What Damien's saying is that the magic that protects this place also protects you.
Your grandfather must have cast it when you last saw him or something of that nature. We can sense its aura around your body.
Also, my earring is fucking with me. Why is my earring fucking with me? There we go. I couldn't believe my ears. This is the 3rd day of surprises, and this one took the cake in being the most surprising. I felt my head spin once again. What did I get myself into?
Miss, please don't worry. We'll find a way to train ourselves and become stronger to finally finish this feud.
I'm gonna kick his ass right now!
Until then, we'll protect you as much as we can. If Malix comes back, we'll be here for you.
But what about going outside? Won't he?
Like we said, you have a protection spell on you. Even if Malix attacks you, he won't be able to use his magic on you. He'd be just like any other human you can fight back against.
Didn't you say you knew Taekwondo?
Well, yeah. I felt somewhat relieved that I was mostly safe from Malix, so I couldn't help but feel very nervous and apprehensive about the future. The boys were safe here to train to become stronger, but what if Malix did the same? Even more so, I was lost about how my grandfather knew about magic. I had to find out. At least I had time. I went to bed that night feeling nervous. Despite the words of the incubi, I felt like a target to something I'd never be able to explain or prove. Magic? Devils? Demons? How did this all even happen? Should I really meddle in this situation? They were only staying until after they defeated Malix. That's right. They said they'd only stay until after they defeated Malix. After all that, my life could go back to normal. Temporary insanity, as Kay would say. The question was then, would I want them to leave? If my life went back to normal, then I'd have to take care of the house all on my own. I'd get to focus on my life instead of being distracted by the boys. I'd have to. My life. Where was my life going anyway? I was under pressure from my parents with only my friends and the boys to comfort me. Without the boys, I'd have no way to hide from my responsibilities. Is a grandfather a magician or a demon like the guys? Magician. Enough! Let's just sleep and deal with tomorrow when it comes. Defeating my sense of thought, I forced myself to sleep, unsure of what tomorrow had planned for me. Hopefully, whatever the future had for me, I would be ready for it.
I promise to be with you forever.
Which is your favorite overall, Seduce Me 1 or Seduce Me 2? Both.
You're so important to me.
I swear I'll give my life to you.
Please, let me love you.
I'll be by your side, always.
I can't imagine living without you.
I want to be with you.
I love you.
By the way, guys, I've actually had this question come up a couple of times. Like, why does Mika get these dreams? She has magic flowing through her. So she has a little bit of a soothsayer that she doesn't recognize that she has. Secret, by the way. Anyways, I slowly opened my eyes, letting the voices of my dream echo in my head and force me awake. As I rubbed my eyes before sitting up and looking at my clock. 7 a.m. Why did I wake up so early? I fell back onto the bed and closed my eyes, trying to go back to sleep. However, something kept me awake. Why? It's too early to even be alive. I gave up and sat up, staring at the fireplace across from my bed. sigh escaped from between my lips as before I threw my legs over the side of the bed. What to do at 7 a.m. in the morning?
What, you're saying the game?
I was dumb and stupid at 21 when I made this game. 22 when I released it. I know the meaning of redundancy now. I am very cringing at myself. Yes, very cringing at myself. Yes, I English well. Yes, I can. Shut up. I'm gonna explore the house. I decided it was a good idea to wander around the house. Never really explored it much as a child, so there were bound to be new surprises. Well, come on, feet. Let's go on an adventure. There's a reason why I picked this one. I stood and exited my room, hoping that the boys were still asleep. I began to wander the halls on my end of the house, opening each door to find what room each door led to. Quickly, I found an old office. A desk and chair sat by the far side, as well as a large bookshelf of documents and memorabilia donned its nooks and crannies. There were a couple of pictures of me growing up peeking from the shelf, as I walked further into the room. I don't believe I've been in here before. I tried to recall memories of ever seeing this room, coming up with nothing as a result. This room was new to me. Did I want to disturb the furniture? I'm curious. I gently opened the shelves and any drawers I saw in the room. In a couple of them were books and even sewing kits. I assumed they were for my grandfather's toys, so I left them alone. One drawer, however, was locked, no matter how many times I pulled. Come on, open! Nothing. It would not budge. The drawer beside it, though, did, revealing a laptop. Why is there a laptop in a drawer? I lifted it from the drawer and carried it over to the desk and chair to opening it. It was a high-tech laptop with a retina scanner as a pass locker. I was not sure whether or not to try and lock it or not. We gonna try it anyway. I decided to try. I turned on the computer and leaned my face near the retina scanner, lining the camera up with my eye. To my surprise, I heard a ping come from the computer before the screen opened up to a desktop. Huh! Look at that. On the desktop were documents and folders labeled with different aspects of the Anderson Company. Taxes, profits, bylaws, products. The list went on and on. If I really did want to become the CEO of the Anderson Toys Company, I had everything about it at my fingertips. Dad would... I read the chat. Not the taxes! Dad would sure be impressed. One icon, however, stood out from the rest. Orago? I double-clicked the icon, but no window came up. Instead, I heard a large click come from the drawer that was locked. What the... I slowly left my seat and walked over to the drawer, attempting to open it again. It slid almost smoothly in the direction of my pulling hand, revealing two books. One was a plain black journal with a tie to keep it closed. The other was bound in leather with cryptic symbols all over the cover. I took the journal and skimmed through it, seeing my father's notes. They were all detailed explanations and his opinions on his findings on demon magic. He really did know about magic. I sat down at the desk and read through the journal further, finding drawings and sketches of symbols and magic circles, each with their own different meanings and effects. It was all fascinating. There is even a page for important spells to know. I read through them, trying to memorize them into my mind. I didn't know what came over me, but I started to feel more energetic and more powerful simply reading my grandfather's notes. I was suddenly aware of the energy that surrounded my body and the power that was around the house. The more I read, the more powerful I became. However, my mind suddenly froze and I found myself walking back to the drawer, putting the book back, and closing the drawer. The lock reset, and I snapped at it. Huh? What? I shook my head and looked at the drawer, realizing what I had done. I walked over to the desk to reopen the lock, but suddenly felt the need to stop.
Color.
Something held me back and didn't want me to pry any more than I already had. See what happens when you read chat in the game. Mal! I was curious beyond belief, but I obeyed my thoughts for now. Eventually, I would come back and look into it. I returned to bed, feeling the weight of the morning drag me under my covers to try and sleeping again. I had energy, but I wanted more sleep. It was Sunday, and nothing was happening today. Come on, eyes. Back to sleep. I shut my eyes, trying to slow my breathing. I took my phone to check the time once again. It was noon. It felt like I had slept for much longer. Why is time going so slowly?
Yeah,
I sighed, got changed in normal clothes, and went out to the main hall and sat on the stairs. Sundays were very boring. However, the muffled sounds of battle caught my attention. Huh? I quickly went out the backyard in response to the noise I had heard. In the yard, all five boys practicing fighting. Sam was in the middle with the other four surrounding him and throwing punches and kicks at him. Sam, being the strongest of the bunch, blocked and dodged each almost masterfully. Nope, do not disturb them. They are good. I just watched. The boys were very much in their own world, focusing on the training they were all in. It was better not to disturb. I checked the time and decided to head inside to the kitchen. I was getting hungry, and I'm sure the boys would need to eat soon, so lunch was a must. Might as well make lunch today. It's been a while since I cooked. Lunch wasn't particularly hard. I decided to make this was an absolutely useless choice to make Michaela just... If you ever make this game, just cut this and just make something stupid. Everybody was kung fu fighting! Ha! Gotta keep their energy and strength up with protein. I took my time to make almost perfect chicken breasts alongside with some rice. Cooking wasn't hard unless you didn't know what you were doing in the first place. Chimkin! I placed the food in the dining room. However, none of the boys were there by the time I brought the final dish out. I carried that dish to the main lobby, catching the boys separating into different rooms of the house.
I was like, how do you fuck up chicken rice?
Right. Thank you so much for the 500 bits, Vivian. Been a fan of a really long time. Love your work. Can't see more. I'll donate a lot more someday. Thank you so much. You are way too kind and way too sweet. Thank you so much. Part of me wanted to go to one in particular. The other part of me wanted to just leave them be and take the food in my hand to my room to eat. Maybe I could go out for the day while the boys focus on training. I'm gonna find the green boy. I quickly rushed back and grabbed a second food dish before hunting down one of the boys. I looked down each hall trying to find one of the incubi wandering so I wouldn't have to go through each individual room finding them. I pursed my lips in irritation. Where the heck are they? I sighed, knowing that I would have to search for them in each room. I turned to head down the west hall before I suddenly bumped into an opening door face first. Ah!
Whoa! What the?
I quickly stepped back, regaining my balance on my feet with the food in my hands. The last thing I wanted was food on the floor. I shook my head and looked up to see Sam looking at me from behind the door in surprise. Being that I only saw his face, he was wet. So I assumed the door led to the bathroom he was exiting.
Oh, crap. Are you alright?
Yeah. I brought food. What the hell? Why did I say that? I shook my head, acted like I knew what I said. Did I don't even remember what I fucking said, but it's alright. Sam raised an eyebrow before looking to the food I brought.
Oh, hey. Thanks.
As Sam stepped up from behind the bathroom door and closed it, I suddenly was face to face with a shirtless and freshly clean Sam. A simple towel was hanging around over his shoulders as he looked at me. I remained frozen, unable to tear my eyes away from the sight. Damn, he was ripped. Damn, was he ripped.
Hey, you alright? Hello?
What? Sam let a sly smirk appear on his lips before tapping my forehead with his finger. It was light, but I still felt pressure from it push me back a bit on my feet.
You gonna give me my food, or do you plan to keep staring into space like a nut job?
Oh, right, here.
Maybe I'll let you start it.
I quickly gave Sam his food, glaring at him. He chuckled before quickly dropping to the floor and crossing his legs as to sit. I did a double takedown at him before joining him to eat. I was hungry, so might as well. Sam must have been hungry, because he practically scarfed all his food down before I could get 2 bites out of mine. Jeez, you eat fast!
Sorry. It was good, yeah.
Thanks? Sam sat in silence, waiting for me to finish. It was odd. It was not far from having a dog watch you while you eat. Nevertheless, I finished my food quicker than I normally did and looked at Sam, who somehow got his shirt and vest on while I wasn't looking. Damn, was he fast.
Alright then. I'm heading up to the roof.
Roof? He was heading to the roof? Why? The roof?
Yeah. Wanna come with?
Hold on, he wanted me to join him? On the roof? The roof of the mansion? How? Why?
I promise you won't fall, or whatever. Okay?
Okay. I didn't know why I was up for this, but I said okay. The small, adventurous side of me was very happy with my decision. But the other side of me was screaming at me, asking why I did that. Sam took the empty dishes and placed them on a nearby stand before walking to the nearby window and looking to... Wait, a window?
Come on.
I walked towards Sam, unsure of what he wanted to do. As I stepped to his side, he wrapped a tired arm around my waist and hugged me against his side. Whoa!
Better hold on tight.
I instantly wrapped my arms around Sam as he opened the window and stepped up onto the ledge. I could feel him tighten his grip on me as he looked up and grabbed the end of the roof with his free hand. I gripped tightly to him as he somehow was able to pull both of us up to the roof with just that one hand. Oh, I gotta hydrate. Darling, can you get me one of my... Please? Please? I'm out of a drink. I'm sorry. I'll hydrate in a second. Coke, please. My cherry. Please. Thank you. It's my birthday. I get to drink what I want. I drink what I want. Respectfully staring. Thank you. Yay. Alright. Also, I'm just trying to read chat real quick. I stroked his abs with consent! Oh my god. And then we made decisions if we that's for futurists. I promise he won't fall a few minutes later. And I regret going with him almost instantly. Okay, where was I? Oh yeah. Whew. He lifted me to the roof first before pulling himself up and sitting with a content sigh.
See? I told you I wouldn't let you fall.
Don't remind me of Sam X Roof! Yeah. I sat up beside Sam, trying to shake off what had happened. He was a demon, I had to remember that, no matter how human he looked.
Pretty sight, huh?
I raised my eyebrow before looking ahead of us. I gasped. The sight was truly beautiful. The estate was settled on a high hill, so the view I saw made me feel like I was flying. I could see Chicago in the distance, surrounded by forests and suburbs, like the one I resided in. Something about the sight took my breath away. I silently thanked my adventurous side for taking the risk to come up here.
You know, it's things like this that make the human world worth coming to.
I turned to Sam at his statement, unsure of what he meant. He kept his eyes to the view, but I could see very soft amazement in his eyes. What do you mean?
I'm not like my brothers. I didn't come to get away from anything or to fulfill something. Whatever they may tell you their reasons were, I came because, well, they're my brothers. And that's that. However, I didn't expect the human world to be so pretty.
I didn't understand. The brothers were running from more than just Malix? What could have possibly driven them from where they were? Y'all ran from something?
We all had our reasons for leaving the Abyssal Plains. James didn't want to deal with his problems. Matthew wanted to live with humans more than demons. I came because I didn't want to be without my brothers. So I left with them.
That's rather sweet if you think about it.
It doesn't matter. I came, so here I am.
I frowned and bit my lips slightly. I wasn't sure if he even wanted to be here with how he was answering. Still, I felt a small wave of confidence drive me to scoot closer to Sam. I wanted to try to be friends. Fate didn't like that, apparently. I found myself losing my balance and wound up starting to fall off the roof. Ah!
Whoa!
Instantly, Sam grabbed me and pulled me to him. He wrapped his arms around me, making sure I wasn't able to fall back down the roof. But that wasn't what made me blush wildly from ear to ear. I had somehow landed and straddled over his lap. He was hugging me close to his chest. It was almost like a romance scene in a love story. I couldn't tear my eyes away from Sam as he stared up at me in concern.
I gotcha. You okay?
Yes, I am. However, I continued to look down at him as he stared up at me. Neither of us knew what to do, and I could feel that we were both lost at that fact. As we looked at each other, Sam's face grew slightly. Mika straddling this man on the roof. Just so you know, context.
Hey, I might as well say it now, but sorry for being a dick when we met.
I must have been dreaming. Sam was being sincere? Why? However, as I stared, I could feel his strength weaken. He was shaking, but he continued to hold me to keep me safe from falling. Sam, do you need energy? Sam's eyes widened before he looked away, refusing to answer, but refusing to let me go. I didn't feel any energy drain, but so he wasn't trying to take advantage of the situation. That was it. He needed energy. What should I give? Duh! Duh! I gently grabbed Sam's face and tilted his head to angle with mine. Leaning in closer to him, I brought my lips to his and kissed him deeply. I didn't know if this would help, but it was how he got energy before! I shut my eyes, waiting for the draining feeling to reappear in my body. Sam didn't move, nor did I feel energy drain from me. I opened my eyes and saw Sam staring wide-eyed at me, but unmoving. He was unsure of what to do, and I had silenced him with confusion. He was hit with confusion. I don't know why, but I felt both irritated and accomplished at the question and at the look he was giving. Where was his flirting? Where was his cocky smirk? From what I remembered, he took advantage of me when we met, yet now he was somehow intimidated by me? I pulled away and spoke. I want to give you some of my energy. You've used a lot of it, and I'm sure that the energy you took off of me was only used for healing. Let me help you.
I mean, I don't...
Sam, if you don't want my energy, just tell me. But I'm offering it to you, too. All of a sudden, I felt this familiar feeling of warmth run through my body once again. Drinking! For the thirsties in the chat. Whoever is thirsty for Sam, get your water and start drinking, you thirsties. Chug chug. I felt my body slightly heat up as Sam pulled my body tighter to his. He regained his stoic gaze before speaking.
Just remember, you offered it.
How are you saying that when y'all are kissing?
He's about to. He is a...
Kissing right now, so no.
Before I knew it, Sam pulled me into a gentle but passionate kiss. Heat erupted through my body as his kiss slowly and almost timidly got deeper. Sam kept an arm around my waist as he rested my hands on his chest. The energy from my body was slowly draining from the kiss, making me feel light and warm. It was almost pitiful how comfortable, how willing I was in this situation. Still, I had no regrets. I was enjoying every bit of this kiss. Yeah, all you fucking thirsty, start drinking! Sam gently leaned back, pulling me along with him so that I was laying on top of him. I felt odd yet comfortable to be the one in control. Sam wasn't as forceful as he was when he first met. It felt almost magical. It was how I imagined the first kiss to be like, except with the energy drain. Soon, the energy drain stopped, and Sam gently pushed my face away to end the kiss. I stared down at him as we both panted for air. I'd never kissed like that before. Ugh. And I was so lost in the moment that I had forgotten how to breathe. Sam moved a strand of hair from my face to behind my ear, eyes full of desire. The look in Sam's eyes, though, I almost couldn't find the strength to pull. I could feel the hold of his mind-altering spell fade away, but I still felt hot. Something told me that I wanted more, but at the same time, I wasn't sure if I truly did want to give more. Hey guys, we're gonna keep going, so you thirsties, get more thirsty! I opened the opportunity and I was enjoying it as much as he was. I wanted more and I was going to let him keep going. I wanted to keep going. I leaned down and kissed him again. Sam gasped against my lips, but continued to kiss back. We better kiss him some more! Drink your fucking water! Oh lord. Kiss me more, kiss me harder! I could feel him pull the tail of my bow, releasing it and following his hand from around my neck. He moved the ribbon to his pocket before gently unbuttoning the top two buttons of my blouse. The desire in my... There is no sexual content here! There is no explicit penetration here! Y'all calm down, ya thirsties! The desire in my body drove me insane, forcing a moan to escape my lips as he ran his kisses from my lips down to my exposed neck. As he began to ravish my neck and shoulder in hot kisses, I leaned my head back and felt a pleasurable sigh escape my lips. Also, if I ever remade this game, I would rewrite all of these scenes to be better. Because I know how to write scenes better! Whee! Sam was ruthless in his passionate kisses on my skin. Sam didn't stop touching and kissing me, making more moans and gas rush out of my mouth into the open air. He may have been full, but he was as hot as I was. I couldn't even comprehend how much... Lucius, you would know! You've read my current stuff! You can attest that I can write better! I was lost in the pleasure that I didn't care. Felt sinful, but I didn't care. I loved it. His touch, his kiss, his heat. I desired it beyond anything at that moment, even as he lowered his kisses down my chest suggestive of my bra. Time to get the fire hose! My heart was beating wildly in my chest. Something about Sam intrigued me immensely, but something made my heart quicken for him. It couldn't have been love, but it was too passionate to be lust. What was it? However, I began to feel dizzy, seeing the sky start to spin almost wildly. I gripped to Sam's shoulders, trying to signal him to stop, but my mind faded to black before I could let out another sound. I felt good. I didn't care that I was blacked out. I felt warm and fuzzy in the darkness. I never knew indulging in that kind of passion would be that good. I now just waited to awaken, hopefully in a good way. My eyes eventually fluttered open, adjusting to the sight around me. I felt some familiar silks underneath me, letting me know I was in my bed. I slowly sat up, stretching from the tiredness that still lingered. I felt a very soft pain on my neck and shoulders, and I could feel my swollen lips pulse gently and healing. However, when I looked down at my body, I saw that my shirt had been pulled back up and rebuttoned as if nothing had happened between me and Sam. I was just missing my ribbon. Before I turned to get out of bed, though, I spotted my ribbon on the pillow beside the one I slept on. It was tied in a nice bow with a small note attached to it. I gently slipped the note from the tie and opened it to read it.
Sorry, I went a little too far.
I stared at the note, letting the small smile grace my lips. He went too far? I enjoyed it, despite the first-time circumstance. It was cute to imagine him thanking me for something we both didn't enjoy. I brought the note to my chest, letting the memories of our meeting flood my mind. I indulged myself too, Sam. Oop, said that's right. Oop! I looked at the time out of curiosity. The large white numbers on my phone showed 5:31 p.m. Yikes! 4 hours of being knocked out, and I still feel tired! It was Sunday, so I was allowed to sleep longer than I wanted to. The remainder of the night passed, surprisingly uneventful. The boys continued to train with each other, but were kind enough to stop and make me dinner. I was glad for that. Free dinner! Unsurprisingly, the food was perfect, but it felt a little empty without the boys to eat with me. They most likely had already eaten, but still felt lonely. I couldn't let it bother me. I ate and went back to my room to study and sleep. Surprisingly, I felt good going to bed that night. I felt like I could have had a peaceful sleep after the previous rough nights I've had. I felt good. Happy and good. Neener, 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 nee. I drifted to sleep, almost woke up flawlessly the next morning. No grogginess, no aches, perfectly energized and bright-eyed. Man, how long has it been since I got that much good sleep?
Only we could wake up like that.
If only! Instead, I have to wake up to Fifi bite my wires, like, stop! Stop biting my wires! Asshole! I looked at my alarm clock. I woke up 10 minutes before I love Fifi and Dolores, but holy shit, Fifi in the mornings is an asshole! Well, hey, I must be lucky today. Karma owed me some luck. After all that I had gone through in merely a handful of days, I deserved to get some good luck. Ecstatic for the day ahead, I turned off my alarms before they could ring and got dressed. However, my phone started to quickly buzz from an incoming text. Huh? Who's texting me this early?
Yo, Anderson! You're carpooling with us from now on. We're not letting you waste your money on a bus. Get ready and be at your gate at 7 stat.
I smiled. My friends are the best. I couldn't drive yet, and I didn't have a car, so it was awesome that my friends would let me carpool. I checked the time, 6:30. Perfect, I can eat some breakfast before they come home. I packed my bag and carried it downstairs for the kitchen. As I entered the dining room, I saw a plate with eggs, toast, and bacon sitting on the table. A fresh, steaming cup of coffee sat next to the plate with sugar and creamer on the side. I walked to the table and couldn't believe what I was seeing. Who made this? As I spoke aloud, a small red note caught my attention. Have a good day. Yours. My heart skipped a beat as I finished. I could tell it was from one of the boys. Maybe it was from him? I smiled before putting the note in my bag and eating up. The food was delicious. I devoured every amazing bite. I looked at the time again. Time to go. I quickly rushed to the doors, checking myself in the passing mirror. I wasn't wanting to impress anyone, but I still needed to look decent. Before I could reach the handle of the door, however, someone took my hand. Huh? I turned to see Sam, who was holding my hand back with a stern look on his face.
My name.
Your name?
My true name isn't Sam. I want you to know my real name if something happens.
His true name? What did he mean? Why was he telling me this now? I remembered reading about a demon's name from the journal I read yesterday. If you knew a demon's true name, you could summon them to you, no matter where you were or where they were. Also, allow me to clear up something for some of you fans of Seduce Me too. A lot of people ask, well, when the MC went to the demon world, why couldn't she just call the demon by their true name? There's a difference between transporting in the same realm and transporting between two realms. You can't just call a demon from a different realm. You can't do that.
Fuck you, I can't.
No, you could try, but you could have fun just screaming into the void. So, yeah. Whew. Alright. Sam gently pulled me to him and leaned close to whisper in my ear. No yeet through the realms!
My name is Amaris.
As he said his name, I could feel it lock into my memory. Something in my head would make sure I would never forget it. Sam pulled away and stared at me, despite still carrying worry in his eyes.
If you're in any danger, any time, it doesn't matter when, call my name. I promise that I'll come and help you.
No, you can't just booty call a demon from a different realm. That's not how this shit works.
Have you not seen any sort of summoning?
You need like a whole pentagram, candle, sacrificial lamb. It's like, you know, the whole works. It still fucking works. I stared up at Sam, unable to say anything. I could only nod in response. Sam nodded before releasing my hand and heading back into the dining room. Something told me that name would be used eventually. And right on cue, Naomi drove up to the gates with Suzu waving me down. I rushed out the door and we headed to school, talking about homework and the coming day.